What's up, Throttlers? Aristotle Full Throttle here, and we're going to talk about the Deadpool 2 trailer with the very special, the one and only, the inimitable Douglas BEAMER.
Hello!
Thank you for coming on the show. Welcome. You're always a welcome guest on here. Now, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool.
Trailer. There's a lot to talk about.
There's really, freakishly too much to talk about.
Overall impression, first off, I thought it was pretty spot on with the tone of the first one, too.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit more polished looking, I would say, because they got more money. They got that, I like to call it the season 2 money or the sequel money. Like, when you watch a show that's sort of a cult hit in the first season, everybody's like all scraggly looking, and by the second they get the season 2 money or the renewal money or the third season, they got their teeth redone, they got like their nice hair, they're tanned, they've been going to CrossFit.
Exactly, except for Ryan Reynolds, he kind of looks the same.
He's looked the same for 20 years.
Yes. Handsome guy that just got deformed in this movie, so you're like, well, wait, did he let himself go?
That's the funny thing. It's like, he's kind of made a living on his face. Ironically, in the Deadpool movies, he's got to like completely disfigure his face, which...
I can only imagine how frustrating that is.
That's got to be hilarious, because I feel like, I figure a lot of women go to see, or anybody who likes Ryan Reynolds goes to see Ryan Reynolds movies, some of them, a large portion, because they like the way he looks. I think he's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious. It's his humor that gets me, not his looks. Yeah. I'm sorry, but...
Exactly, but to each their own. But in this trailer, what was one of the standout moments? It starts out, you got the air supply playing, and you've got the cab driver from the first one.
Yeah, so it's a nice... continuation from the first movie, where we're knowing that all they have something to do, something to say, all that stuff. That's great. But the thing that stood out to me is actually really, really tiny, and nobody's actually mentioned it yet. And it was where Deadpool's in Xavier's chair.
Oh, I didn't notice that. What point was that? When he was at the mansion?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it was kind of like a blink and you'll miss it moment, and a lot of reaction people I've watched kind of just laughed through that part and didn't notice. And I'm like, dude, he's in Xavier's chair. I don't know if we're going to get any kind of version of Xavier to show up. Huh. But I don't know if that's even going to make it to the final cut of the movie. But I would love to see what they're going to do with that, because that got my brain going, you know?
Right. And it's interesting that you say that, because there's a lot of stuff in trailers nowadays that they show, but they do not include in the final cut of the movie, which is crazy.
That's why I do my trailer to film, because sometimes because that's the movie reviews that I do, sometimes there'll be scenes in there that don't show up, and I'm like, dude, I was anxious for those scenes, and they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah, which I kind of appreciate, because there are certain moments in movies that saw that clip in the trailer. For instance, when I was watching the Avengers, the first Avengers, the mighty Earth's mightiest heroes, is that who they are? There was a moment, and it got ruined for me in the theater, even though I loved the experience of seeing the Avengers. That moment when Tony Stark is taking the nuke and putting it into the wormhole, and then loses consciousness and is falling to Earth. In the trailer, they showed the Hulk catching Iron Man and saving him, and that's such a great moment, and I was like, oh, this is where the Hulk is gonna catch him and save him, and it just kind of took the air out of that. It's still a great moment in the movie, but I saw it coming.
And then you run the fine line with trailers. Like, if we gotta talk about anything, it's that trailers spoil too much.
They do.
And I don't know with Deadpool, because they've been very clever with marketing, they've been very clever with what they've shown you. Like, actually, that's one of the notes that I made. It was online, I watched one trailer, and then actually on Snapchat, they had a different version of the trailer where it was less gory, less sweary.
For the kids.
And it got me thinking, like, how much was ad-libbed, and what will we actually get? Because, like, when he says, and that's why I think that the sister of the traveling pants is pure pornography. actually that was something different in that, you know, more cut version of the trailer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are we actually going to get here?
That's true about the first Deadpool as well, because there were a lot of jokes in the trailer that were for the green band trailer versus the red band trailer. And then there was like a third option once you went and saw the movie. So they would do many different takes, because Ryan Reynolds is great at that. He's great at ad-libbing. He's great at doing takes in the moment, and they feel very fresh.
I saw him in The Hitman's Bodyguard with Samuel Jackson, and it was so funny because it was just the beginning scene, and he's like complaining about the smell of the car, and he goes, you know what? We're going to take all these little scents, we're going to put it in there, and we're going to burn it. And I was like, that made me laugh, and I was like, that tells me that's you, Ryan Reynolds. That's not the script.
Right. One of my favorite jokes in the trailer for Deadpool 2 was when he's like, sorry, I was busy rounding up all of the gluten on Earth and launching it into space, so it can't not hurt us anymore.
Yeah, it cannot not hurt us.
That was pretty great.
Ass excuse, but for Ryan Reynolds' sake, that is like the best excuse.
Yeah, I mean, and it's plausible too.
Probably.
It's probably something that Deadpool would do.
It's something there, yeah. He cares, just not that much.
Now, Cable is introduced into this, and as we know, Cable is the son of Cyclops and Jean Grey. No, is he their son?
Your guess is as good as mine. I'm not as into the comic book lore as some of these die-hard comic book fans. Like, seeing Cable, it could go two ways. You can go the Terminator route, or you can completely axe that and do something else, and you're just not going to make anybody happy. You're running a fine line with Cable. Like, you're going to show off how badass he is. You're going to show off what his motives are. You're going to show off everything. But how is he really going to be used? It really just brings me down to the sequelitis of second parters. You know, like they think they're doing a good job, but you're not winning anybody over. And something tells me that's not going to happen here. But Cable just looks so compelling to me. Like, what is his role in all this besides the kid?
I like that. I like the mystery behind that. I didn't really think from the trailer that Cable was all that funny, but I know that Josh Brolin is really funny. I don't know if you saw Men in Black 3.
I did. I love that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And he does a great job as like a young Tommy Lee Jones and a very dry, straightforward. Speaking of like out of time,
I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was saying, like, God, they're getting Brolin for everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You know how they say bacon goes well with everything? Like Kevin Bacon, you know how they say that?
Yeah.
Brolin goes well with everything now.
Brolin with Brolin and bacon with bacon. Sounds greasy.
It does sound greasy. Brolin the bacon, but I'll tell you what, man, you're getting a very versatile actor here. This guy he's pretty cool. I like him a lot. I love what he's done so far. Like, I loved him in No Country for Old Men. I loved him in Men in Black 3 and all that stuff. So him as Cable is
The Goonies.
The Goonies. I didn't even know that. Like, I've seen that movie like once.
He's on the bike. He's one of the older kids.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'm anxious to see where they're going to go with Cable. It's like opening up the doors, because I know Cable is a big deal in the comics. Like, I mean, every character is a big deal.
Yeah.
But some of them actually have their hands in the pot a lot more than we've ever realized. So if Cable is introduced here, where are they going to go with him in this movie? And if they're ballsy enough to do a third movie, is he going to be in that one too?
I'm wondering about the third movie. See, now, my question is, do they make a third Deadpool, or do they do a spin-off? Do they do a spin-off of, like, X-Force, or do they include Deadpool in every other X-Men movie? Or does X-Men merge with the MCU because it's been acquired by Disney, 20th Century Fox, and does Deadpool just show up whenever the heck he feels like it as a...
And actually, it's funny you should say that, because I love the comment that Deadpool makes. He's like, young enough to carry their franchise for 10 to 12 years. Perfect. Like, you don't know what they're going to do. Like, these characters might have a spin-off of X-Force. Cable might have a spin-off. And they can just come in where they want to make the puzzle pieces fit. And I'm like, dude, this is way too clever for its own good. And I love how self-aware it is. I love anything pretty much self-aware.
Yeah, it's because it just doesn't take itself seriously. And that way, I think it's even more fun. I think the action hits harder when it's just ridiculous cartoon action, like him getting shot through the hand and moving the gun and Yeah.
I love how like you got Cable just jumping up on the truck, perfect, and then this other truck knocks Deadpool.
Yeah. And then he just kind of like resets his neck and he's ready to go again.
Great though. I mean, I always have a fun time watching trailers, and especially with Deadpool because they just have such a great time showing off jokes that may never be, but you just had great time in the meantime. And Jeremy Johns actually pointed this out, and I actually agree. It's like from the studio that brought you 27 dresses and Devil Wears Prada. Like, who cares? I don't care.
That's for you, Jeremy Johns, if you're watching. And I know you are not watching. But yeah, like that's the cool thing about the Deadpool movies too, that I have strong confidence that in the 2.5 minutes, because a lot of comedies will have in that 2.5 minute trailer, they'll have every joke in the movie. They'll have the biggest laughs in the movie. With the nature of this being an R-rated, raunchy franchise, you can bet there's going to be some really raunchy stuff that they cannot show anywhere but in the movie. And I'm sure those are going to be the big laughs.
I was absolutely floored on how raunchy they get. Like, raunchy's not my type of humor. But
Right.
Deadpool, some reason everything just clicked. I'm like, dude, that is, wow, that's hilarious. I was so surprised how much I laughed because I knew the friends that I was with when I lived back in Maryland, they were just all for Deadpool. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm with you guys, and that's my experience. I'm just kind of living vicariously through your experience. But then I realized I was having an experience of my own. I was laughing. And I was enjoying it. I'm like, please don't ever end. Please. I'm really having a great time with this. And then like I was laughing really hard at the one joke where he's like, you're about to get killed by a Zamboni. Tell me where your boss is or you're gonna die. In like 5 minutes. And after that I was like missing other jokes because I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, I don't know if I laughed that hard at a movie in a long time, besides maybe 22 Jump Street, actually. Because comedy sequels are so difficult to do. But the Deadpool humor, like you were saying, like I just wanted it to keep going and going. And if this movie can sort of take that baton and move it forward for another couple hours, I'm excited to see that.
For it, buddy. Like, definitely 100% agree with you.
So, Deadpool 2 looks pretty good. I'm hoping it's pretty good. I heard that it's been testing with audiences really well. It got like better. It tested 12 points better than the first Deadpool. So maybe like it actually helped move the meter as far as what is socially acceptable.
Derivative.
He even joked about that. You know, the X-Force team member, she's like, isn't that a little derivative? And he's like, yes, because we're making a self-referential bit of humor. And then he's talking with TJ Miller at the end, and they're like, don't even make a third one. Just end it at 2.
2, you killed it, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, that's kind of how I always feel. Like, when it comes to movies and trailers and stuff like that, you stop at 2 because you got the introduction and then you got the real good trailer. And then the third one's just like giving you too much, giving a little too often of a derivative plot that you don't want to know until you get to the theater. And like that's kind of sometimes the way with third movies as well. Like, they're just not as good. But I've known third movies to actually be better than the first 2.
Yeah, that's happened. I mean, technically, Return of the King won Best Picture out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I think that Best Picture was definitely given to the trilogy as a whole. I think that year they were recognizing Peter Jackson's amazing effort to make those 3 movies, and they sort of crowned it, so to speak. Deadpool 2, the trailer
knocks it out of the park, man. For me, I think this is the third trailer that I wasn't annoyed with, gave me just enough, and it was better than the first 2. And I love the second trailer more because the fact that, you know, they were making fun of the CGI arm and all that stuff, I love that. And then it just did such a great job. And then the third one was like, no, we're still good. We've got the jokes.
Well, guys, that's what we think of the Deadpool 2 trailer. I want to know what you think, so let us know in the comments below. And we're going to talk about this. Remember, if this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel, like and share these videos, and turn on those notifications. Today, my special guest has been Douglas BEAMER. You can check him out at Douglas BEAMER on YouTube. And you can check him out also at 7 Minutes or Less on Twitter. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. This has been Douglas BEAMER.
That's me.
I'm your bro in the know with the fro, and I'll see you later.
That's me.